Welcome back to the Rev Show. We're here at the Hallam Sports Park for the start of the Youdan Trophy. You may see behind us a few of the teams arriving here, checking out the venue before the start of this tournament. 40 teams taking part this year. But we're going to move on now and talk about a couple of different things. In a moment, we're going to come on to the Women's Euro 2017 with England through to the semi-finals after beating France in their quarter-final by 1-0. We'll come on to that in a moment. But I've had my fill of pre-season friendlies, Keith and Paul, Keith Hackett, Paul McGuinness with us. I'm delighted that the proper stuff's going to start this weekend. The EFL gets back underway. So the Football League, and in terms of the refereeing in the Championship League 1 and League 2, what are you going to be focusing on, Keith, at the start of the year? What are you hoping to see?
Well, I think that what we want is better management by the referees and a more consistent level of performance. I think that they start the season off with all the best ideas of we're going to stamp this out, that out, that out, and I can never understand that because it only lasts for 6 weeks and it confuses everybody. I still believe that there's too much holding and pulling in the game that is preventing the skillful player from being able to show his skills. So I would like to see a consistency of approach that cuts out the blocking, cuts out the holding, the grabbing and the pulling. But I think the one that's going to create the big debate is when that first act of a dive, simulation in law, takes place and some panel decide afterwards, in retrospective punishment, that they're going to suspend that player. So I think my first comment would be at the exchange of the team sheets is to say, look guys, you just better have a word in the ear of the players. I might not see it, he may not see it, but if TV's here and they see it, your player's got a problem.
In terms of the retrospective banning for diving, Paul, have you got an opinion on this that's being installed?
Yeah, fully behind it. Let's cut it out. You know, I think it's just a culture that comes in, and you have to change that culture. It can happen quite quickly. Look how quickly it happened with the wall encroaching when they put the line down. That was it. Mm-hmm. You know, we used to have that all the time. They'd come in, push them back, start again, the edge forward. That just stopped it. Now, I know it's not a physical barrier that we're asking for here, but you know, if somebody gets a 3-match ban, people start to think about it. Yeah.
Keith, what do you make of the standard of the refereeing from the Championship downwards?
I think that I've seen some good performances. I've seen some indifferent performances. I think that the whole system of the PGMOL was to create initially a professional group of referees that took people out of a working environment and allowed them to become fitter, more mobile, because we were, quote, miles behind the pace of the game. The game itself had changed from endurance into high-level sprinting, with players running half the length of the field of play at 7 meters per second, and we were well off that pace. So I brought in running coaches, obviously sports science, nutrition, to improve the foundation of refereeing and create a lifestyle change. Because the gap between how a professional player was prepared and how a referee was prepared was miles apart. And so we knew that with the pace of the game increasing, and it had increased about 40% in about 3 years of my period in office, we needed to cope with that. Sadly, I'm not seeing that level of fitness that we expect from professional referees coming through. I think that we got them to something like 12.5, 13,000 meters per game, 1,000 meters at 7 meters per second. All stats that actually put us close to the optimum of what a player did. If you took someone like Halsey and Webb towards the end of their career, a professional player would do about 50 sprints in a game, and both Halsey and Webb were referees that could cope with that, and Clattenburg as well, at 50, but many were at 25. And so if you're not up with play and you're not in the ideal viewing position, you're going to make errors. And when I've reviewed all the errors that we were making when I was the boss, it was all about not incompetence of not being able to make a decision. It was the fact that they didn't see it because they weren't in the right place.
Lots of big clubs in the Championship this year, Paul, with the likes of Aston Villa still in there, and they've signed John Terry, and Sunderland down there now. We've got the 2 Sheffield clubs down the road here, Leeds, Forest, and it's a very competitive league now, isn't it?
It's competitive every week, that league.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable league. It is so tough, the amount of games you've got to play, with so many big clubs in there. You look at, there's so many big clubs with big history that could all be in the Premier League. And it is a dogfight, you know, every step of the way. It's one of the toughest leagues you could have. It leads to a sense of no risk at any point. I think sometimes in the games, there's a sort of safety element to it, because everybody wants to grind their way through. So yeah, it's one of the toughest leagues you can have, but exactly that's why the refs have got to be tough, you know, and that's why tournaments are good, because you've got one game after the next game after the next game. Well, that simulates what the referees have to do in the Championship and the Premier League. They might have 3 games in a week and be on the 4th official and so on. There's a lot of work there, so they have to get that stamina, resilience, the speed, all that out. One thing that I think we maybe miss a trick on is the fact that young referees could quite easily be attached to actual academies. They've got all the facilities, they've got all the sports science, they've got all the people for fitness where they could be helped. If you attach a group of young referees to the academies, they're already helping in academy games, but the players, a lot of them will have GPS. Well, find a spare one for the ref. You know, give him his figures, let that go back, have someone monitoring that. There's enough sports science people about now that you could have one attached to the referees and sort of bring it all in. It is the Premier League or the EFL. Put them all together, and coaches quite often can help the referees. They can help each other in that sense. So I would use the facilities together, you know.
Let's move on to the European Championships, the Women's Euro 2017 taking place at the moment. England having great success. It's been a summer of success for England in major tournaments at the youth level. Now we have a senior team into the semi-finals. They'll play the host Netherlands on Thursday in the semi-finals. No English referee, Keith, at the tournament. A quick thought on that and a thought on England's progress so far.
I think history shows that sometimes it can be a barrier. I think the FA have been lacking in putting investment into developing women referees. They get to a level, you know, we had Wendy Toms in my time. She got to the Premier League line. She was extremely good. A little bit like Sean Massey has got to that level. It's that next stage. But what we've done is we've decided early in the career that referees have to make a decision. Either they become referees and they continue that path, or they can actually be assistant referees. And what I'd encourage is, don't take assistant referee women into our senior competition. Take them into the path of refereeing and develop them as referees like other countries. Bundesliga has a woman referee. I've seen that in Europe. We have to develop their skill sets and we have to involve them. But there are not enough women refereeing football around the country.
And good to see England doing well at a tournament.
Terrific. I mean, you know, we want England to do well in every tournament that they play. I think they've had perhaps a misunderstanding of what tournament football is. And Paul's absolutely right. You have to prepare and you have to get used to this intensity of living away from home, being in a different country, this attitude towards playing the game and then recovery and then playing another game, and then the adaptation of the referees. You know, the girl last night in the semi-final was very in the game England played. She was lucky not to get a red card. You know, I felt that the referee was lenient. She came in, she was off the floor, she came in from the side. It was a dangerous challenge. It was reckless. And therefore, lucky not to get a red card. She got a yellow, it's put her out of the tournament. Again, it's this understanding of sometimes, I don't know, in youth football, we have this, we've got to get in, when in fact, from a refereeing perspective, you think, why don't they stand off a bit and let that player that's got the ball make the mistake, rather than diving in with absolutely no chance of getting the ball.
Well, the good news is Germany are already knocked out as well, so there's no danger of losing to them on penalties at any stage in the next 2 rounds. It will be the Netherlands for England in the semi-finals. We'll finish with this, a bit of an interesting story this week, perhaps the the most ironic story of the week is that Diego Maradona's come out in support of video technology. It's a shame it wasn't there in the 80s, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, that ended that referee's career. That's how tight it is for refereeing. He misses one handball and that's the career finish for him at international level. I'm for the VAR. I'm very concerned at the moment what I'm seeing. I think we're overcomplicating it. We're not following the path of rugby and cricket, who use it brilliantly. We've decided that we don't want to show the spectator what's happening and the process. For me, that's a massive error. Let the public see what's going and listen and be able to listen to what the VAR is saying to the referee and the referee's reaction. So let's open it up. Let's not have this nonsense of pointing at the ear, doing this, the crowd not knowing what's going off. It's part of the entertainment. We see it in cricket. We've got used to it. That first thought is it's going to undermine the umpire's authority, the rugby's authority. But both those organisations, rugby and cricket, have then captured it as an aid. And that's what VAR is. It's an aid.
Paul McGuinness, Keith Hackett, thank you for your company today. Don't forget, if you need any information on the Youdan Trophy, you can head to the Youdan Trophy website there, follow them on Twitter as well. And check out the You Are The Ref website as well, especially for the Ref Show Extra this week as well. Head over to the Academy section for that. Thanks for joining us this week. Bye-bye.